The Cold Omaha Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to Procedurally Generated. I'm Henry Bell, and joining me today are Tom Schreier and Brandon Bowling. This week we're going to be covering the end of Wii U production, the upcoming Vardenfell expansion to Elder Scrolls Online, and a whole lot more. But before that, we're going to get things started with what we've been playing this week. Tom, Brandon, how you doing?
Doing pretty solid, man.
I'm glad that everyone's having a good week. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I've been actually playing quite a bit this week. And Tom, I think you may actually have the lion's share, which, man, color me shocked.
Well, that's a part because I've been gone for like 2 weeks. That's probably right.
I was giving you benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I'm like on the opposite end of the spectrum. I've been like hardcore focusing on like Titanfall multiplayer and even tried to compare it to some other similar games.
Nice. Well, Tom, since you have so many games, why don't you go first here and we'll get started.
Yeah, sadly for the listeners, there's not a lot new. I will say this, I did download Killer Instinct Season 2, which is Games with Gold right now.
Hey, no teabagging, okay?
Yeah, no, that was funny. I'm glad you guys covered that. That was not something I do normally. However, if I was ever tempted, now I know not to do it. Since I am trying to go pro in Killer Instinct.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
Oh, that's pretty
but no, I mean, for a guy who's pretty like exclusively Mortal Kombat, I used to play Tekken back in the day, and I am a fan of like Capcom, those fighting games, but
the Marvel vs. Capcom ones.
Yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom, but you know, I haven't. I wouldn't say I maybe played Killer Instinct a little bit when Xbox One came out, just because like it was one of the few games you could play on the new system.
Yeah, and it was free to play too, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like really weird business model, but technically free to play like one character or something weird.
Yeah, it was more than one, but you're right. I mean, it was a weird business model, and then they like took it away from you for a little bit, and I didn't get super into it. There was like that rush of nostalgia back to like the N64 days.
Sure.
Which would have been the last time I really played it extensively. But I mean, I think it's a solid fighting game for a guy like me, where I'm just trying to get like one of my friends to buy into Gold and play every once in a while. It's nice to have a free game that he likes, and we can, you know, like throw down every once in a while.
Definitely. I think that's a great point. I just wanted to bring up really quick. That really highlights why people are so unsatisfied with the new Nintendo offering for the Switch, for their online system, where you pay a monthly fee and then you get one free digital console game, not of your choice. Like it's like an emulator basically of a Nintendo game, and it lasts till the end of the month, and then you have to buy it. It's like, the whole great thing about Games with Gold is that you can log in, grab the game, and then 5 years from now, you and your buddy can be like, let's, you know, bust out some Killer Instinct Season 2.
Well, and to be honest with you, the business model works because, like, for someone like me, I target a few games that I like pretty much budget into a year-long budget I have for video games. It's nice, like, I mean, I always use this example, but I'm going to talk about it today. Dishonored 2 is one of my favorite games. It's why I'm still playing it a ton. I'm playing it because I played Dishonored 1 for free, a game I would not have picked up otherwise. So, I mean, it's smart on their end. I bought Dishonored 2 literally as soon as like the review came out. So,
right.
I don't know. I definitely like their system, and it's something like that. You know, like my friends now bought into Games with Gold, or not Games with Gold, but Xbox Live Gold. Otherwise, probably wouldn't do it because he's like, oh, I don't want to like throw down for, you know, the money to buy a game and the money to get gold. And you know,
not necessarily the type who's playing online all the time.
Yeah, I mean, he's swamped. Like he needs something simple he can just throw on, and we both are not going pro. You know, I can teabag all I want. It's the greatest thing
there
ever.
You go.
but
keep it in the game, like, Tom. Keep it in the game.
Yeah, you made it sound like that was kind of something you brought.
How are you liking the game itself? Like, do you have a favorite character? I haven't really played a Killer Instinct game in like 10 years. So
I know. It's hard to say because like we kind of have been. I mean, like Jago and Spinal, like are two that stand out to me. Those are kind of the classics.
Sure.
And Orchid, it's still a little bit like it's
for your own sake, Tom.
Like,
It's named after the flower. It's orchid.
Orchid, sorry.
I love you. Orchid.
But it's quote unquote free. But if you really want to get a lot of these characters, you're like they show you all these characters you could have and all these skins you could have and all this stuff. So I mean, I'd say it's a little chancy to say it's free, but for the way we're playing, it's fine. There's no one I'm super partial to. I think it's more the fun of just like getting a friend of mine who I think until like Halo Wars comes out really won't be playing a lot of Xbox, getting him back on his machine and playing a little bit with him.
Definitely. Well, that's cool. I'm glad you're having fun. Yeah, it's definitely nice to have a casual fighting game you can throw down on. I actually jumped back onto Injustice for a week or two back there, just because I was like, man, I just need to get some combos going. I just need to I've been watching like a lot of fighting game tournaments lately because they've been getting so popular, and sometimes you just get that itch, and you don't want to have to be like, oh, I'm an expert in this game. You just want to have one consistent game you can fall back to and be like, I know how to play this one. That's fine.
Yeah, I would say, to be fair, Injustice and Mortal Kombat are better games, like just hands down. But
I think a lot of people might disagree with you, but I mean, personally, I'd say they're more mainstream, though, to be sure. More mainstream accepted.
Sure, that's fair.
But
what were you saying, Brandon?
Yeah, sorry, Brandon.
I was like, how does it play? Because I actually am not familiar with that whole, like...
Extremely technically.
The funny, well, it's probably because I have combo assist on. I was going to say, like, I don't have a lot of trouble with it, but it's probably because I'm cheating.
Wait. First of all, we had this conversation about you cheating, I think, 2 consecutive weeks a couple of months ago. Number 2, how the hell do you cheat in a fighting game unless you're cheesing?
Automatic combos?
Whatever the combo assist does, it works well because I feel like I'm really good. I'm sure I can't replicate anything. Like, I'll be like, how did I do that? And then I can't.
Well, that's because in Killer Instinct combos are like automated, so you can just push one you can basically just like push one button or hit a special move, one special move combo, and you'll do like 6 hits.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Because I was going to ask, is it like Tekken? Is it like?
It's more. I'd say it's close. I'd say it's kind of a mashup of like probably Tekken and Mortal Kombat a bit because they have finishing moves and stuff, but they also have like ultra combos and all that. They have combo breakers. They have a whole thing with counters and counter breakers. It's a very technical fighter. But it's also, I guess, it's very technical, but it's also kind of new player friendly with the automatic combo system.
Okay, and that's one of the defining features is the automatic combo?
Yes. Also, similar to something like Injustice, rather than doing round-based combat, it is you just have like 2 health bars, and wherever your health bar, wherever you were when the first round ended, that's where your health starts for the second round.
I like that system a lot. I don't know if it's fair, but
it definitely is gives an advantage to the person who wins the first round, because then they start with like a health bar and a half or whatever. But, I mean, it's fairly fair. I mean, honestly, it does annoy me sometimes a little bit where it's like, I would like all things to be even again, and like I start a round and I'm like, well, I have a third of my health left and they have a full bar, but whatever, I guess.
No, it's a mixed bag. I mean,
some people love it, some people hate it. I'm not a huge fan, but I know a lot of people love it, and I don't hate it so much that I won't play games with it. Like I said, I like Injustice.
Sure.
Well, it's true.
Nice. Well, we've played a lot of games this week, so Tom, I'm going to keep things moving here if you don't mind. And I'd like to very briefly talk about, as I'm sure you guys remember from last week, I'm very enamored with my new 3DS right now, and I wanted to just touch on a game that I downloaded from the eShop, my first eShop purchase. Well,
just to be clear,
excluding DLC.
The word enamored is a bit of an understatement. You are in love with that thing. I haven't seen it out of your hand in the last week.
I don't think I've actually played any PC games in like 2 full weeks now. But
yeah, you also bought 2 more too. Yeah,
yeah, 3 actually. So, well, that was because there's the eShop game I picked up, which I wanted to talk about. I got Mario Maker 3DS because I wanted to know what all the hype was about, see how big of a deal it was that they didn't have the full online features, and just kind of, everybody's been freaking out about it so much, so I wanted to see where the fire was. So I went ahead and picked it up. It was $40 full, but fortunately it's a pretty small thing since it's just like Mario levels for the most part. So I was able to save it to my SD card without issue. And I learned 2 things about Mario Maker. The first one is the vast majority of levels suck. They're either badly made or they're not fun to play unless you are, like, trying to punish yourself. The other thing I learned is I may not be as big of a 2D Mario fan as a lot of other people are out there, because boy, oh boy, is it... I've probably, out of all the games I've gotten for 3DS, I've by far played the least of the one that is always ready to go. I don't even need to switch the cartridge out, and I can play this, and I have barely touched it. I don't like the physics. They don't feel right for the new Mario, and they feel slightly off for the older tile sets. I feel very limited by the number of blocks, and while I know you're supposed to unlock more bricks as you go through, I'm not interested in going through all their shit. Like, I know how to put together a Mario level. I've been playing Mario my whole life. I don't need your damn tutorials. These block types don't overwhelm me. I know them all by heart. So for me, it just feels very limited, and it feels kind of slightly knockoff-ish with the way the physics feel to me. Like, it feels like it takes Mario a little too long to build up speed when he's running, which really affects, the physics of jumps and stuff. But then again, like I said, it could just be that I'm not the biggest 2D Mario fan. I never was huge. I've beaten all of them, but I've never been like the guy who plays through Mario again and again, or is going for like 100% in any game except for Mario All-Stars or Mario World 3 specifically.
So my question is, you don't have access to all the levels, right? It's just three. It's just like the DS.
It's weird. You have access to a ton of developer-approved ones. Then you also have access to like the top charts ones, but it's like a randomly selected group of them, and you can only browse the ones that have been like served to you. And then you can do like random ones. But if you want to do a specific one that is not like one that's been selected by Nintendo or pushed by the popularity system, then you have to have that person's friend code, which is that super convoluted Nintendo like contact system. Like to add someone to your friends, you have to both give each other your friend codes, which are like hexadecimal strings. Then once you both enter them, terrible. It's a huge pain in the ass. And then even if you do that, you only have access to that one person's maps. And that's assuming that, I don't really have any friends per se right now who are actively playing Mario Maker 3DS.
Are you happy with the $40 purchase?
Not really for this one. This is the first this is the first 3DS game I've purchased that I'm not going to say I have buyer's remorse, because I'll have it forever. It's tied to my Nintendo account or whatever. I'll have it until that shuts down. But so I'm hoping I'll get my money's worth over the next few years, like as I'm like, I feel like playing some Mario, and then I can just boot that up. But at the same time, this is definitely the one I've played least, and the one that I most had kind of a sticker shock moment at, where I was like, this is a full $40. Compared to the other 3DS games I've picked up for that price, I'm kind of disappointed.
And you're not... there's no playlist that you really like? Like, there's no go-to where you're like, at least I can find good levels in this?
It doesn't really work that way. My options are basically like one random course, or I can do that 100 Mario challenge where you have like 100 lives to beat. I think it's like 25 courses or something, or maybe it's 100 courses. I'm not really sure.
That seems like a major flaw in the game.
Yeah, it is. We covered it. We covered it when it released, and to be fair, I did know about this. So like all things equal, like I was kind of aware that I wasn't going to be super thrilled here, but I kind of wanted to pick it up to talk about it on the show as well. And yeah, overall, not super impressed. I would honestly rather have picked up a virtual console copy of one good Mario game for $10 or whatever, rather than $40 for infinite Mario experiences, 99% of which are garbage.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think this is a good reminder.
Man.
You know what it is I really think that this is a game for kids who have a lot of time and are willing to do those like torture levels that are just like, if you move one pixel off, then you have to start the whole 10-minute level over and all that kind of stuff, like those grueling difficulty challenges, or like really, it's cute, but really, really like poorly designed levels made by children and probably like young middle schoolers and stuff like that. And so I think that this is really something that both the community and the appeal are skew much, much younger than most video games. And that's to be expected. I mean, it's not just a Nintendo game, it's a Mario game, but still, I think it really hit that kind of young YouTube watcher market really hard.
I think this is a good reminder, or good heads up for a lot of listeners, because there's probably people out there like you who picked up a DS and are looking for what to play.
Yeah, I would say from everything I've heard, the version worth getting is the Wii U version, but I can't really speak to if that one is better in terms of like physics, but I'm sure having the ability to actually select levels and all that makes a big difference.
It feels like you just paid for like maybe a third of it feels like you paid $40 for a third of a game.
I feel like I paid $40 for less than a normal Mario game. And with none of the polish that makes Mario. But you know what? That's what I knew what I was getting myself into. So, fair warning to any older gamers who aren't huge Mario fans, this may not be the fad for you. But yeah, moving on, Brandon, would you like to talk, I'm sure, even more about a game that we've heard about?
Yeah, as you guys know, I've been trying to work the whole Titanfall 2 multiplayer thing, so I've been kind of digging into that.
Yeah.
The one new thing that I tried so far that I think works pretty well is I've been playing with headphones now.
Oh, and directional audio. Yeah, my friend.
Yeah,
welcome to the realization I had in middle school. Like the first time I played Counter-Strike at a LAN and was like, "You're all wall hacking," and they're like, "No, we can hear your footsteps."
It's super weird because I've done this before when I was playing Destiny multiplayer. I used to always play with headphones because I was always on team chat. So I was experiencing that. But now I was like, I did it again. And I'm like, oh, wait, I've done this before. And it actually does help because there's verticality in Titanfall. So you can tell somebody's below you, above you, or to the left or to the right.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of matters in a multiplayer match.
In first-person shooters, 3D audio is fucking huge.
Yeah, stuff is super, like, kind of important. And it does actually greatly improve my game. I mean, I'm still half past horrible, but we're getting there. But what I really wanted to talk about is, from a technical perspective, I wanted to compare this game to another game I played this week, which was Infinite Warfare. Now, I just played the multiplayer.
Right, you've already completed the campaign, correct? And,
yeah,
but you just kind of touched on the multiplayer previously.
Yeah, I touched on it and wasn't very impressed. But after playing Titanfall, I wanted to kind of come back because I've already played Battlefield. So effectively now I've kind of like have a pretty good idea of all three of the big shooters from late 2016 in terms of their multiplayer now. And I got to say, I like Titanfall the best for a very interesting reason. And I feel like it's the fit and finish of how the game functions as a multiplayer shooter. Because honestly, when you really sit down at face value, it does kind of play like an old COD game without all of the BS. Initially,
that sounds great.
Yeah,
somewhat.
Because like the first COD game, if you got rid of like that tank thing that you had where you could take 2 headshots, the game actually plays pretty damn well. The things I've noticed is that when I was playing Infinite Warfare, in terms of movement, you do have the wall running, but it feels tacked on, whereas Titanfall feels like that was the bedrock of the game. And I'll give you multiple examples. There's multiple maps, and I can't remember because I'm horrible with names, but there's multiple maps in Titanfall where your like zones or your avenues for kill boxes, like actual areas where you're getting most of your kills.
Yeah.
For example, an attrition and or team deathmatch and like and amped hardpoint are only accessible via wall running. And they're intrinsically placed and make perfect sense. Whereas in Call of Duty multiplayer, you can do wall running if you want, but that's not a required avenue.
Sure.
And it's actually more convenient if you're an old school COD player to just walk, or run, you know? Another thing I've noticed too is the way that the guns shoot in the game. There's 2 things about the guns. First of all, I like the way the guns shoot in Titanfall better because this is the first game where I've felt more compelled as time progresses and I acquire more upgrades to not ADS at all or aim down sights. So I got the gun runner perk and I'm just like, oh snap! And it didn't aim down sights like the whole match. And I'm just like freaking out because I never do that in games. I always aim down sights. Whereas I had the exact opposite effect in Infinite Warfare, which is really bad because that goes to the second part about the guns I don't like about Infinite Warfare, which is, well, the guns are actually pretty level provided you're playing with the people you've prestiged with. They have like this weird leveling system that's different from Titanfall in the sense that you can level up and like, I guess you could call it prestiging or like go to like a different version of yourself, like 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 in Titanfall. In Call of Duty multiplayer, you prestige. And when you prestige, you get the same guns, except they're just better.
They're better? I thought that they
better.
were... Really? I thought it was just like you got new skins and stuff.
In Titanfall, you get access to new skins.
I'm talking about in Call of Duty's progression system, because I played Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2 and like a bunch of those, and in those you didn't get more powerful weapons from prestiging. You just got like additional battle tags and stuff.
No, you actually get better. Like the time to kill in Titanfall and Call of Duty are similar, but people who have prestige just like actually have better versions of the same gun.
That's horse shit.
Yeah, and I was just like, it's kind of like the rich get richer and the poor just kind of get their asses handed to them on a regular basis.
Damn.
So if you actually get a team, if you're actually playing against a team who's like in the same prestige level, as you could call it, time to kill actually is very similar. It's just when you get the teams that you have like your varying amounts.
Sure.
And then they just have better guns. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on here? So that's kind of like, but then again, Call of Duty's always had like a weird imbalance when it comes to the weapons.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I think a lot of people may agree with you, though, about how Infinite Warfare is kind of paling to some of the older entries. Because, like, I'm just looking over some of the Steam Spy stats for Call of Duty games right now. Mm-hmm. Infinite Warfare in the last 2 weeks has had 101,000 players, right? Or, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's Modern Warfare 3. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, excuse me, has had 88,000 players in the last 2 weeks. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 has had 199,000 players in the last 2 weeks.
Jesus.
So yeah, it's not even beating the previous 2 entries in the series.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
In fact, it's only double Modern Warfare's players. Call of Duty 4 has 40,000 players in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's just kind of ridiculous. That's another thing too. Time to find a match is definitely an issue to me with both games. Mm-hmm. Like doing pilots versus pilots in Titanfall, which is just PvP, regular with no bots and no Titans, it just takes so long to find a group, even with invites and creating your own group, inviting people. It's just
really so they're still really hurting on population in game modes. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't give Titanfall 2 population numbers because it is a Uplay game.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate too because I can tell you for a fact that they're lower, if not much lower, than Call of Duty.
Which is just Warfare. Sad. It's insane though to think about. Like if you add up the whole Call of Duty series, like for people who have played those games in the last 2 weeks, it's like still millions of concurrent players spread across those games, or at least 1 million, I'd say.
Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to say about the guns in Titanfall 2, which I actually kind of enjoy, is the fact that it kind of has this, I don't know if it's old school, but like simple feel. Like you effectively level up in this game. You like get your 2.0 and 3.0, which kind of allows you to reset and then kind of like get better effectively.
It's like a mini prestige.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't get better guns. You get better attachments for your guns, which means that you build skill with those weapons.
And it's definitely arguable better attachments. You aren't getting like a scope and then a better version of that scope. You're getting like a quick scope and then you're getting like a long scope, or you're getting like for me the perks is another example of that. And like the first perk you get is I think being able to shoot while sprinting, and like that's the only one I ever need. I don't get any other perk. Why would I want anything else? And it's like they're not necessarily better than each other.
Yeah, and it can kind of fit its play style that you can specialize in, and if you want to change it up just to get the game fresh again, you can just swap things out and still be good effectively, or still be like a competitive player.
Viable,
you're trying something new. There's a little bit of customization as you level up per se. Like you can get things like the double cloak, which is super convenient when you're trying to like bake out and fake out enemies, which is just really nice.
Sure.
But the thing I like about the guns the most is the fact that you're not upgrading them, you're getting better with them. And it's just a simple layout. They explain it to you. You get like 6 options for scopes. You get like 6 options for like perks, like your gun runner perks.
Right.
It's just super
Don't
easy.
you think though that a big part of that is because it's a class-based system?
Yeah, does have a point.
Well, but Call of Duty's class-based too, just not as tightly tied to it, right?
Yeah, but you can't. But I tend to get lost in all the upgrades that you can get in.
Me too. Get overwhelmed by like, why does this pistol have 17 scopes?
Yeah, it's just gets to a point. Like another game that's really bad at that too, or at least that I noticed is I won't speak for Battlefield 1, but Battlefield 4. Holy crap! There's just a lot of things you can put on your damn gun, and it's ridiculous.
Sure. Anyways, though, so final verdict, side by side, you're going to give the edge to Titanfall?
I'm going to give the edge to Titanfall if you want something that is easily accessible and kind of new and interesting. Because like I said, the movement system is embedded in. So all that wall running and stuff, it can initially turn you off, just by the thought or the saying of it. But it's intrinsically put into the game and is designed to be easily accessible. A lot of people kind of were turned off initially from the first Titanfall because it seemed so radical looking at it. But the team that made it just perfectly integrated it into the system and made it accessible for all players. So if you want to try something new, now if you're a COD fan, just go for COD. I mean,
really? Because it looks like most COD fans are not.
Yeah, or just straight up stick to like Black Ops 3.
Exactly.
That's
the one to go to if you want to get good, or you have the good player base.
Yeah, because you do have the wall running features, but there's just a lot of things that just feel more tacked on.
Sure, and I'm sure, and Titanfall has refined a lot of the stuff that was very new still for Call of Duty.
Exactly. So, definitely like if you want to get a good, and also another thing too is I don't see a lot of whiny rats on Titanfall as much, which I.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an important bit too, but I kind of attribute that more so to the lower player base than the actual quality of the game.
That's a fair point as well. I also don't. Yeah, Titanfall is not necessarily a game that you need mic chat to do.
No, unless you're like being exceptionally competitive in like amped hardpoint, which I doubt.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
Even then, like you could just sit and camp and you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's like a game that's one game that's like almost designed for like unlimited amount of camping.
Yeah, well, it is exactly. It's a defend the point. But cool. So hopefully that's quite the interesting comparison there. I appreciate it. Hopefully,
seriously, go out and buy this game, guys.
Hopefully, though, next week we can get you to play something maybe a little different.
I don't know, man. Like I made that New Year's resolution. I'm gonna get good at this game.
God damn it, Brandon! I'm gonna like uninstall it when you're not home.
Brandon's become me, basically.
Exactly. Gotta get some variety. It's the spice of life. Speaking of, Tom, what else have you been playing?
So this is sort of kind of variety. I've been playing the Overwatch, the Chinese New Year edition, because you have to.
Hey, yeah.
I you know what? And this comes down to whether you not like the mode or not. But I'm a big capture the flag guy. I don't know why I like that mode, and I feel like a lot of people don't. But
you like the capture the flag in Overwatch, or you like capture the flag in general?
I like it in general,
sure.
And I like it in Overwatch.
I don't think you're in the minority there. Capture the flag is one of the most historic game modes in all of first-person shooting. I mean, it's
that's what got me into like Quake.
Yeah, exactly. Unreal. I was gonna say Quake and Unreal. Capture the flag is the biz.
Yeah, I learned how to snipe because of Unreal. Capture the flag. That's where I learned how to snipe in online.
That's where I learned how to bunny hop. Anyways.
It's a learning experience. I'm a man of history. But anyways, sorry. But anyways, no, I really like it with kind of the Overwatch play style. Like just the fact that you kind of have to think through like you don't necessarily need to structure a 6-man team like you would in the traditional mode. Like you don't really need a healer at certain times. You don't. The snipers are nice, but on certain boards, you don't really need a sniper.
Sure, the tanks are probably mostly useless.
I found D.Va gets the flag really well.
Oh, sure, because she can but D.Va's hardly a tank. D.Va's like a jack of all trades.
No, that's fair.
She outputs too much damage to be called a tank.
I would say jack of all tanks. Bazinga.
I'm trying to think. I suppose if you want to clog certain areas, certain like thoroughfares, you can do it with the tanks. But
does that even matter when you have characters like Tracer and fucking not Zarya, but rather Sombra?
Sombra's really good in this mode.
Really, the character who can teleport,
right,
and turn invisible is good at capture the flag.
Right, completely. No,
her whole kit was basically designed for. She sprints, turns invisible, slows down enemies and locks their abilities, and teleports.
No, completely. I mean, it's no, and Tracer's good, but it's probably the same thing with Sombra. But Tracer can just get knocked off the flag really quick. You have to sit on the flag a while before you pick it up. So it still requires some teamwork. The big issue I have with this, and it just popped in my mind, you can really put together a cool team. Like, I really like this is from the last update, but that you can put together a team. But if you have 4 players for some reason, it's really hard to find a game. And it really pisses me off because you're like so close to building a team that you want to just roll with.
But I mean, you know why that is, right? It's because they don't want. It wouldn't really be fair to individual players if they match-made you with a bunch of randoms, and it would be unfair to you if they matched you with a pre-made.
Yeah, I mean,
you should really going more than 2 people matchmaking. You're going to be waiting longer usually.
I've had decent success with 3, and I feel like if you fill out 6, you're actually fine. It's really that's what I said.
Like short of that would be a full set. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the 4 or 5 that really is trouble, but which sucks because you get the more experience points. You can once you get a team like it's funny. I usually get all the loot boxes, but I don't get them progressively. I get them like all at once. You know what I mean? Like once I get a team. So and it is helpful even just having like 1 or 2 friends that can play because you really just need to add a couple guys, a couple more people on.
Sure, a couple of people who aren't going to just AFK in base.
Yeah, no, and so but yeah, I mean, I would say most characters are pretty useful in this. I found the Bastion Symmetra combination is really good for guarding a flag. You just like zap everyone and use Bastion in his like sedated or not sedated, but his sitting mode.
I think you're mixing up these 2 characters.
Sedated is not
Turret mode.
Turret mode.
That'd be turret. Yes.
I guess he's sitting. I don't know.
I mean, he is technically.
I don't know that he actually is. I'm pretty sure his knees just like buckle in and he just moves lower to the ground.
And like totally rotates his torso.
Pretty sure his feet though are still on the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, certain characters really combine well in this mode, and it is kind of cool that instead of running like literally 6 people up and down a board with a payload or whatever, you have to kind of think. Sometimes it's better to go 2-2-2. Usually it's 3-3, like 3 attacking, 3 guarding. Sometimes it's 4-2. There's a lot of like little strategies in there, like the game within the game that's kind of fun. I don't know if it's as good as 3-on-3, but I would say like, especially now that it's pretty hard to find a 6-on-6 game, because I think you're either like in the upper tier where you're going for like, a ranking or something like that, or you're just like, I'm just going to play arcade. It's a fun additional mode to 3-on-3. I really like it.
Cool.
I feel like if they
I'm glad you're
it,
enjoying it because this is the first. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say if they refine this, it would be a really nice addition to the game overall, just as
yeah, I suppose I'd rather see some like defense type stuff before that because Junkenstein's is by far the best holiday event so far.
They definitely need another Junkenstein mode.
I don't think. I mean, I know. I'm glad that Tom is singing its praises, but this is literally the first positive thing I've heard about the CTF mode from anyone.
Yeah, I think it's because I just like. I mean, maybe it's just because I haven't played Capture the Flag in a long time, and
sure,
it's nostalgia. The other thing too is I like that it uses pre-existing levels within the game. I really think 3-on-3 they need to figure out how to make some of these places that they've really done a good job building. Try to figure out a way to make them 3-on-3, and maybe this will give them a hint on how to do it.
Sure, yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Do you anything else you wanted to mention about it? Do you have any costumes that you nabbed that you really like or anything?
I got 2 skins in 1 loot box, which was pretty impressive. I'm trying to think of who
I didn't even know that was possible. Oh, 2 common skins or 2 epic skins?
I got 2 like Chinese skins.
Oh,
it was
fuck
like
you.
It was a Farah one, and I know a Farah one, and who the hell else did I get the skin for? I'm so spoiled. I can't even remember the other skin.
Garbage.
The funny thing too is it brought me to 1,000 gold, and so now I have God, I'm trying to think who's the tank with the laser, the Russian lady.
Zarya.
I have Russian Zarya now, which is sweet. She freaking looks like she's straight out of Siberia, which is awesome.
Aren't all Zaryas Russian?
No,
isn't that like her whole thing?
It's the hat. And
okay, you're saying with the hunting hat and stuff. Gotcha.
She's like KGB. She's Putin now. Yeah, no, it's pretty exciting.
Female Putin.
she's Lady Putin.
Take it easy, guys. Zarya rocks. Don't talk shit.
I know. No, I love Zarya, and but I love that costume.
Nice.
I don't know. Yeah, it's been a good experience so far.
Cool. Maybe I'll go in and check it out. I'll be honest, Chinese New Year tends to be my least favorite seasonal stuff, just because I'm not a huge fan of the style of like dress that people that is traditional for that on most video game characters. I just don't think it looks very cool. It looks very formal, and I'm not really into the gown look. But maybe I'll give it a second look, just because I am curious now about the CTF mode.
Yeah, and the one thing too is seeing those boards from like a different angle. You'd be surprised. Like I see things, I'm like, I didn't even know this was in here. So maybe it's just like places I don't go usually in the other modes. But I don't know. I again, you know how much I love Overwatch, and it's just making me happier. Which
nice.
Thank you,
Blizzard. Sweet. So yeah, I also played some more games this week. One of which was another 3DS game, specifically Luigi's Mansion: Dark Moon. So this is the sequel to Luigi's Mansion, the GameCube game that I'm sure many of you have played. Definitely one of my favorite games for GameCube back in the day. Probably maybe my favorite Mario game actually for the GameCube. But yeah, it's a total blast. I gotta say, the controls are a little weird and definitely take some getting used to because the 3DS doesn't have a right thumbstick. It's just got the 4 face buttons.
Yeah.
But they kind of change the perspective. Rather than it being like a third person behind the back game, it's like it's a fully 3D kind of like platformer type thing. It's hard to explain, but they nailed the angles so you can move around these 3D environments and stuff. They're almost like 2.5D. I don't really know how to describe it, but they did a really good job of transitioning that. And once you get used to the controls, they're actually really good. It is a little weird when you first start out, though, because there's stuff like you hold R to vacuum stuff, and then while holding R, if you push X or A, it will aim up or down, which is like not the most natural feeling thing, but you get used to it, and it plays really, really well. It's pretty easy to pick up. I got it for $20 because it's on the Nintendo like recommended it's their version of like Game of the Year edition or whatever.
Is it? I think you just said this probably, but like to be clear, it is literally the same style, just maybe like a little bit worse controls.
Yeah, it's a game where you play as Luigi and you're going into haunted mansions and you're using the Poltergust 3000 to suck up a bunch of ghosts.
Sorry, I always took a little pleasure in that name.
Yeah, it's clever. But yeah, it's got all the charm, all the same fun slapstick stuff with Luigi constantly falling down in the butt of every single joke. They did a really good job with the sound design, is fantastic. They have a bunch of new ghosts and stuff to catch, which if you're like me and you've beaten Luigi's Mansion several times, 100% is a welcome addition. The boss battles are fun and varied, and you have 5 mansions to explore now instead of just 1. And so they've done a lot more with like mansion-specific mechanics, and there's barely any backtracking compared to Luigi's Mansion, which is basically all backtracking.
Yeah, I forgot how fun this game was. Like, it is arguably the best Mario game.
I'm torn because I more than most people really like Mario Sunshine, but I think I do have to give the edge to Luigi's Mansion because it was original and stuff too. It was just like, wow.
It was so funny. I don't know.
It's a great
this is
game.
my nostalgia day, man.
Yeah, dude, definitely. And so I picked it up for $20, which is a fantastic value, though not the best value I've gotten for 3DS so far. I'll be talking about that next. But yeah, I'm having a total blast with it. It's got all the same like money collection, satisfying stuff where you're vacuuming up gold bars and dollar bills and stuff. They've added in a new resurrection mechanic where you can collect a golden dog bone, and it's basically like a fairy in Zelda where when you get knocked out, you'll come back with full health one time. The ghost dog comes and licks you awake after he takes the bone. But
that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's got all the charm, and it's got great sound design, good game feel. Once you get used to the slightly different controls, you're fine. I mean, honestly, the controls aren't bad. They're just not dual analog, which is what everyone's used to.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Overall, though, I definitely give Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon a big thumbs up and highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't picked it up. Although I am incredibly late to the party. I think this is a 4-year-old game at this point.
So, if you've been on the rails that long, I think it's time for you to make the jump.
It's cheap now. It's cheap.
Yeah, $20, you guys. Seriously. But yeah, that was another game I played. Tom, you want to talk about one of yours again?
Yeah, I'm going to clump these two together because they're basically the same message. I would say Dishonored 2, I understand it got mixed reviews. I still love this game. I think the Clockwork Mansion is probably the coolest level. You pull some levers and the whole mansion shifts. I don't want to say too much, but the rooms shift. There's also I'm going to be careful with this.
Be very careful because I will be finishing Dishonored 2 this year, and I've only gotten to level 3. I'll be pissed.
Okay.
And so will the fans.
I know. No.
If you're not sure, maybe just hold off.
I would just say,
don't do it, man.
You're gonna pull up Brandon and think you're being clever, and then spoil it for everybody.
Don't be like me, man.
Yeah, no, I would just. I'm gonna be careful on this. I'm sure I would be fine with what I'm gonna say. It wouldn't give too much away, but they do enough in each level. Maybe a few in the middle are kind of similar, but they do enough to make it feel different and kind of make you think through what you're doing.
Sure.
It's just so generic, but it really makes you appreciate the environment because everything in the environment has a purpose. And as you manipulate, it's gonna change the games in ways you don't think. I'd say even without the general structure, I haven't finished it. Setting aside the general structure and story of the game, which I know some people are upset with, even within levels, there's consequences for your actions, which I think is really clever and really well done.
So they really kind of enhanced that from the first one.
Yeah, I would say level to level, it's pretty good. I'd say it this way: if you haven't played Dishonored yet, play the first one. If you like the first one, you'll love the second one. I don't know if the second one's a great entry point for a new player. That's my thought.
I think that's a very concise way to put it, and I agree wholeheartedly, even though I haven't gotten quite as far in the second one as you have. The first one I was compelled all the way through. The second one I burned out on pretty quick.
You haven't played level 4 though?
Nope, I've played. I got up to the fucking science lab on an island or whatever.
Yeah, I would say level 4.
Yeah,
on 7 of 9.
I'll be going back to it eventually, but I have about 8 3DS games to play and about 20 other PC games that are going to come first.
In case you wondered, Henry's computer's on temporary leave.
Yeah, I have 10 games for PC that are ready to play, a bunch of giant long RPGs and stuff, but man, 3DS is so convenient, and I can play it on the bus, and it's nice.
In all seriousness, no, level 4 is just I don't know. It's hands down worth the game. I
gotcha. All right. I gotcha. I'll go back and check it out for sure.
Yeah. All right. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all. And with Hearthstone, it's the same old game. I don't think they've added anything in. But I just say if you're looking for something to dink around with your cell phone, it's a fun game. I'm still enjoying it.
Hearthstone is the shit. I've been playing a whole bunch of it again, and I love it too. The new season just started as well. Because it's February. Nice. So make sure you get in and grab your card back. Anyways, though, I played one other game that I wanted to touch on before we move on to the news here. And that is definitely my favorite game that I have picked up for 3DS so far, including Pokemon Moon. And that would be Animal Crossing Welcome Amiibo / New Leaf. So...
It's one hell of a title, my friend.
Well, so this was very confusing for me at the store, but Animal Crossing Welcome Amiibo is a free update that was released for the game Animal Crossing New Leaf. Free to download for anyone who already had it, and then as of the download going out, they started selling the Welcome Amiibo update in box, and they changed the name from New Leaf to Welcome Amiibo, even though it's just New Leaf with some additional content. So... After being very confused and determining I did not need to buy 2 games or anything, I went ahead and picked up Welcome Amiibo, and hell yeah, this is my first time playing Animal Crossing New Leaf, although I am a big ol' Animal Crossing fan. I've played all the American releases, and by that I mean 2 of them. I played Wild World, and I also played the original Animal Crossing. Big fan. Welcome Amiibo definitely has some really, really good quality of life improvements, but also kind of has some stuff that I really don't like. So for those who don't know, Animal Crossing are these kind of weird, esoteric games where you are like a villager who moves to a town. You're a guy who just moves into a town, and you're like, hey, I need a house. And then you get a massive home loan, and you're like, hey, I guess I'm going to be walking around picking up fruit and collecting furniture the rest of my time here because I need to pay off all these loans to continue upgrading my house. And you got a community that builds up, and the shops upgrade as you shop there, and there's all kinds of fun Nintendo-themed furniture and different art styles and stuff, which is cool. And the new twist in Animal Crossing New Leaf is that when you arrive to town, everyone mistakes you for their new mayor, and you just kind of go with it. And so you are the mayor in this game, which is pretty cool. And then on day 3, you receive a letter from the mayor-to-be who's like, hey, I got a secret for you. I was supposed to be mayor, but you're doing a pretty good job, and I was pretty stressed out about it, so I'm just going to let this happen.
This happens all the time in politics, I hear.
Oh, yeah, all the time. But yeah, I've been having a total blast with it, except for one major caveat, and that is they have gone whole hog on tying it to the DS clock. And Animal Crossing is a game that, in my opinion, you do not play it for an hour a day, which is what they want. There's about an hour to an hour and a half of activities you can do in a given day. Then, rather than doing what you could do in the original Animal Crossing, which is to say just go to your house and sleep, and then it's the next day, in this, it's tied to real time. So you have to either set your DS clock forward or wait 24 hours, which is really fucking annoying. Go ahead.
This sounds a little similar to your issue with Mario Maker, where it seems like DS games, they really cater to like kids. Like this is
No,
okay.
not at all. This is catering to a mobile market that they're trying to break into. I mean, that's the thing that's so frustrating is it's very mobile game like. It's like, oh, I log on, I play the game till I run out of my daily allotment of energy, and then I'm done for the day, and I come back later.
Like Hearthstone Quest, kind of.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, point being, it's there. There's very little time-consuming content there for just to do in just one day. Like you can definitely play in a single day on and on, but there's a bunch of like daily events and stuff. Like you can if you hit every rock in town with a shovel, one of them will always break and give you like a valuable gemstone. But that only happens once a day. And so normally, you'd basically do all your money-making stuff for the day, all of your daily checklist for the day, and then sleep and do the same thing for the next day. In this, you do everything you've done for the day, and then you're like, well, shit, I can either set my clock forward or wait.
Just go play Stardew Valley.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just kidding.
That said, I have put up with setting my clock forward and fucking up my time in all of my other games that are time dependent, and it's been worth it because fuck, I love these games so much. I mean, I'm running around and digging up fossils, and I just recently planted a bunch of foreign fruit trees that I was showing Brandon and bragging about.
This dude had such a hard-on about bananas.
Man, I went from making $1,000 a day on fruit sales to $30,000 a day overnight.
This dude was like, "Look at my bananas, bro," and I'm like, "Dude, don't take your banana out in front of me."
It's really more of a plantain.
It's like you got to go to the beach first, man.
But yeah, it's a blast. I'm having a ton of fun. The new characters are really good. The localization has been improved. So, like, the characters' catchphrases and stuff are more fun. I got a frog to move to my town, and I gave him the catchphrase, "Oh shit, what up?" which is pretty great.
It's pretty good.
So now at the end of every sentence and every greeting, he says, "Oh shit, what up?"
He's literally that popular. Everybody's like,
yes,
hey,
so basically Pepe moved to my town is what I'm saying.
He's like the frog version of the Fonz, effectively.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So now that I have a living legend living in my town, I'm making sure to keep him happy. And yeah, they've added in. There's a bunch of new updates for the Welcome Amiibo update, like new features and stuff. There's some new. It adds in the ability to use Nintendo Amiibos with the game, which I have not done because it requires buying the like Amiibo dock weird base thing that you have to plug into your 3DS and stuff. You can't just do it natively with the 3DS.
Yeah,
and I'm not really I'm not really into it because Amiibos are like $20 a pop. Like fuck that.
Like I said, it sounds like work.
Exactly. So I haven't really done any of that stuff, but fortunately there's alternate ways to get a lot of that content. For example, you can buy these fortune cookies at the store every day, and you can trade in the fortune for one of the items that you'd normally only be able to get from Amiibos. And doing that, I've been able to get... and you spend these play coins on them, which, as far as I can tell, you generate play coins from walking around with your DS in sleep mode. I think that it's like a pedometer feature, and they're rewarding you for exercise. Which is cool, because every time I open it up, I have more coins than when I started. But you can trade those in, and I've gotten all kinds of sweet furniture. Like, I have a Bullet Bill, like, cannon in my house. I have, like, a Mario question mark block. I've got a bunch of really cool, fun stuff. I got a Triforce, like, just stuff you randomly get that would normally require, like, scanning an Amiibo that costs a shitload of money and all that. So, yeah, having fun with that feature. The multiplayer, I'm sure, is good, but I don't have any friends who are actively playing the game right now. I would like to check out some of the new multiplayer features, though, because one of them that I think is really cool is you can go into a friend's house, and it will be, or you can go to a friend's town, and actually you just have to street pass with them, which is walk by them with both your DSs in sleep mode and with data for Animal Crossing on your SD cards. You will trade versions of your houses to each other, so when you're back at home or whatever on your own, you can go visit an instanced version of their house, and you can walk up to any piece of furniture or wallpaper or anything, and you can buy it directly. And so you don't have to, like, go through the nightmare of trying to hope that you can finish out, like, your modern furniture set or whatever for the feng shui bonuses, for the Happy Home Academy. You guys don't understand how much I love these games.
So this is the question everyone wants to know. What is the time and date on your DS right now?
Currently, it's roughly February 28th, I think.
I guess that's not that bad.
Well,
2017?
2017, but I have set it back to the correct date twice and then moved forward. So technically it would be April.
Wow.
But I'm having a lot of fun. Yes, I've already upgraded I already paid off my first house, upgraded the size 2 or 3 times, and got the attic upgrade. So I am having a total blast. I'll be going back to it, I'm sure, tonight. That or Luigi's Mansion, probably. And, one thing definitely worth mentioning about this game, it's also only $20.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, you should get this if you like Animal Crossing at all. I highly recommend it. The drawbacks are far outweighed by the benefits of a portable Animal Crossing game that has all the fun features of others.
Nice.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up what we've been playing this week. Is that right, guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a quick break here, and we will be right back with the news, so don't go anywhere. Hey guys, welcome back. So, without any further ado, let's jump right into the news. And we actually have a little bit of news, which is surprising considering the time of year. First up, I wanted to talk about, we've been talking about a lot of fan projects over the last year or so, and, well, we have our first one of 2017 now. The fan-made Metroid prequel is now out and available for download. Although it's worth noting, it's called Metroid Rogue Dawn. This is an entirely fan-made prequel. This isn't a remake or anything like that. And it's actually a ROM hack for the first Metroid game. So this is not...
Real quick, before we get too much, can you explain ROM hack to me? Because I'm completely unfamiliar.
I was about to, Brandon. So a ROM hack is basically you get a ROM, and then you apply the hack to it afterwards. It's just like a patch, basically.
So the ROM is the game.
Yes, you need the ROM in order to... Yes, a ROM... So, do you know anything about emulate? Okay, so for cartridge-based games, the file that you run that is the actual game cartridge is called a .rom file.
Oh, okay.
And like modern ones, you probably are more familiar with .iso, which is an image of a CD.
Right.
So so this one you can't just download and play on Windows like all the some of the other ones that we've been recommending, but it is a ROM hack. People are saying it's pretty darn good. This one does not actually follow Samus, however. This is really interesting. This game stars Dawn Aran, who is a family member of Samus's. It's not totally clear if it's her mom or her sister, but basically Ridley kidnapped one of Samus's family members when they were very young and like trained them as one of his own soldiers, and she is going, before the Metroid series, she is going to recover the first ever Metroid sample that kicked off the series for Ridley, the giant purple dragon, if you don't know who I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's the screeching dragon monster. So, yeah, that's pretty cool, I gotta say. I love that we're seeing all these fan updates and, fan remakes and fan-made games. I think a lot of people, especially in Metroid, like, fucking Nintendo needs to wake the fuck up. How many fan side-scrolling Metroid games have we seen in the last year? 3? Like,
this is the open market just doing its work.
Right, except that it's not even the market because it's free. Like, it's just like literally gamers are so passionate about these games and so desperate for a new entry that they have, since the last entry, gone to college, gotten a degree in game programming or whatever, and programmed their own damn game. Like, it's hilarious to me. It's like, Nintendo, there is money on the table and you're just walking away from it. Why?
I literally...
The phrase you're looking for is opportunity cost. They have an opportunity and they missed it, so now it's costing them.
Yes, although I like my gambling phrase. But
seriously, like, Nintendo, figure it out.
Yeah, it's like how they announced the new Pikmin game and they're like, it's going to be a 2D platformer, and people are like, fuck you. Like, we've been waiting for a new Pikmin game for like fucking 8 years. What is this shit? Like, just give us what we had. We liked it. Nobody complained. Like, why are you changing it?
Yeah, good grief.
Stop fucking with a good thing. It just seems completely ridiculous to me.
Yeah, but don't they have like a habit of not listening to their fan base on occasion?
Nintendo is, Japanese developers at large are very, there's kind of a game development culture of the developer knows best. And that's why they've been very slow to change for a lot of requested stuff. That's why Nintendo's been so slow to move to mobile and stuff like that, among other reasons, obviously. And I would say a big part of it is that they know what they're doing and they do what they do and they don't really care what we think. And especially the Western audience, like, they're much more interested in it. Like, now it's changing a little bit with stuff like Mario Run and all that. But yeah. I mean, remember that Japanese companies, especially like Nintendo and Sony, pretty heavily cater to their Japanese fans.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that.
So I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
They can't shut this down, right?
No, I'm pretty sure they can. I'm pretty sure they can shut this down just like any other one. This might be technically a little different because ROM hacks are kind of in a legal gray area. There's a lot of very, very well-known ROM hacks that I don't think have been given DMCAs or cease and desists or anything like that. But I don't really know, honestly. We'll just have to see how this plays out, but they have not received a DMCA yet.
Maybe it's because, like, there's nothing on the horizon for a new Metroid game.
Yeah, I don't think that's it, because we got a DMCA for the remake of Metroid 2.
But that's true.
I think it's more that maybe this has gotten less attention so far, and Nintendo hasn't gotten wind of it. One thing worth noting, if you are a homebrew player, is that it is reported working on Wii Virtual Consoles, and if you're one of the lucky few who has one, hacked NES classics. That's pretty sweet.
So that is really cool.
I'm guessing that they're doing a hack of the ROM on there, because I don't know if you guys remember this, or I can't remember how much we talked about this, but several of the games that are on the NES Classic are literally rips of emulators. Like, it's literally the ROM that some dude made and put up on EMU Paradise or whatever.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's just like ironic considering how hard line they are against emulation and that kind of stuff. It's just kind of fun.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I just wanted to touch on this. I think it's pretty cool. I would check it out if you're into the original Metroid, but just be aware this is not any of the other remake levels of like making it as good as like Zero Mission or something like that. They did add some new abilities and some new features, but this is largely based on the Metroid 1 engine, so don't expect it to be like amazingly good looking and stuff like that. It's going to look a lot like the original, which is fine. But yeah, next up we have some pretty cool news. We're going to be getting an HD texture pack for Fallout 4, and actually it may already be available considering this is a fairly old news story, but the PlayStation 4 Pro update that is adding native 1440 1440p support is going to be coming out side by side with the HD texture pack for PC. And apparently it is incredibly HD to the point of being 4K. And so the recommended specs are kind of insane. The recommended are Windows 7, 8, 10. It has to be 64-bit OS, which I think is just true of Fallout 4 anyways. Recommended processor is an Intel i7 5820K or better.
Which is nuts because, like, I have the one above that, and that's like in the top 3 most powerful CPUs on the market now.
Exactly. I certainly don't have that. And then a GTX 1080 or an AMD Radeon RX 490, both the 8GB models. Holy shit.
Jesus.
And then 8+ gigs of RAM as well. So neither Brandon nor I, even with Brandon's super souped up rig, meet the recommended specs for this. But Brandon is very close. Yeah,
to be fair though, I don't have a television. I think I can't even render it in 4K with my screens.
Yeah, exactly. and so, it's worth noting too that like they usually hedge their bets pretty hugely on this kind of stuff. I wouldn't take it as gospel that it's actually, because I'm pretty sure at the time that I first picked up Fallout 4, I didn't meet the video requirements and I ran it on like ultra at 60 frames. So
Can Trevor's computer do this? Like, are his specs that good?
No. Actually, yes. Yeah. Trevor would be able to do this. He has more than enough RAM, and he meets all the other specs.
Ah, nice.
Yes.
Yeah, because he finally got that 1080, right?
Yes, exactly. Specifically, it's the 1080. It's really more the time that Trevor built his computer. The 1080s were, like, out and available, whereas when Brandon and I did our builds, the 980s were the top of the line. But, yeah. Definitely excited to check it out, and seriously, you guys, if you haven't seen them, look up screenshots, because, like, holy shit. It's, like, really, really good looking.
Power armor looks like power armor.
Yeah. Ooh. I think the biggest thing for me is I don't so much care about the 4K textures, I care about the cleanup on a lot of the clutter and stuff like that was less than, 1080 already. Like, some of the, like, ground textures and stuff like that, I'll just be happy to see them replaced with, instead of it just being, like, a gray blur with random cracks in it, actually being able to see, like, concrete.
Yeah, or like the muddy, like everything just looked muddy initially.
Exactly, the rust and stuff. It does better justice to all those kinds of effects.
It should be noted. It depends. Like 4K is still, I don't know. It feels like a niche market to me to an extent.
Mm-hmm. In
terms of it's growing, but a lot of people just don't have like the money to just like really delve into it. So even though the specs that were shown for recommended or for if you were running that thing at 4K with a 4K screen
on ultra settings, because remember, resolution isn't the only thing that affects graphics.
Yeah, since I primarily have just a full HD setup for 1080p, and if you're running the same thing and you have a competent video card, like anything from the 9 series, I think from a 970 up, I would assume, or 960 even, I think that you would be getting an advantage out of this texture pack.
Yeah, I think really everybody should check it out if you have the download capacity, because I'm sure it's huge. I haven't seen the total size yet, but HD texture packs for 4K textures are not going to be small. But yeah, we'll let you guys know next week once we've got our hands on it ourselves, and we'll see how it runs. Exciting. Next up, we have something that Tom may be pretty excited about, some Overwatch news. Specifically, we have found out who the next character getting reworked is going to be. And that is the one, the only, the giant metal robot Bastion. So, basically, they're making they're doing a complete rework of this guy. Let's remember, and we all talked about this because we played in the beta, but it seems to have finally proliferated to everyone else. Bastion starts out, everyone thinks he's super overpowered. Then they actually learn how to play the game, and no one plays Bastion anymore. Like, Bastion is consistently one of the least picked characters in all of Overwatch, both in regular play and competitive, which is kind of crazy when you think about how much we used to see Bastion 5 stacks all the time. But they are taking it pretty seriously that he's not seeing a ton of play. And so Jeff Goodman recently did one of his usual Overwatch talks and talked about some of the changes they're going to be making. Similar to Symmetra, they're going to be reworking a bunch of his core abilities. Specifically, his recon mode, which is just like when you're running around in humanoid form, is getting a decreased shot spread and an increased magazine size, which is pretty cool. It might actually be worth using because
that's actually
worthless.
Pretty big.
Yeah,
it's like 2 buffs.
Also, they're talking about sentry mode having like. Basically, they're looking at a lot of stuff, but the stuff they've been testing is increased spread, so that like when you hold down the button, you get less accurate, and also removing headshots, but making it so you take less damage when in turret mode. And so, the idea being that they're trying to make this more viable without making it super OP. They don't want another Diva situation where they make the rework and then they spend the next 3 patches, nerfing them. And then lastly, probably the biggest change is Bastion's self-repair. They're going to be making it apparently so that Bastion can use it while moving now, which is pretty crazy. And also it won't be interrupted when you get hit. Jesus.
That's the biggest thing to me. I still play Bastion, and he's good, I think, still in certain situations.
Sure.
However, obviously people have figured out how to beat him. But that to me makes a lot of sense. I'll be interested if it's too powerful that it doesn't get interrupted, but you certainly should be able to use it while you're moving.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind too, if someone's shooting you while you're using self-repair, I'm pretty sure that they would kill you pretty fast still.
Sure, fair.
But yeah, I'm excited to see him get reworked because I don't really love Bastion as is. I don't think he's a ton of fun to play. I'm kind of bummed though. I have to say, the thing I like least about Bastion is his ultimate, and I didn't see anything about them changing his ultimate. I fucking hate the tank mode ultimate. I think it's worse than his normal mode. Like, every time I use it, I die.
The funniest thing about that is, like, it's not really congruent with how you play him, because if I'm sitting there in turret mode, I'm like, I'm not going to just turn into a tank. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Right, and tank mode, the projectiles move so slowly that, like, you have to actually close the distance in order to have it be effective, and that's not how you play Bastion.
It's pretty jarring to go in the third person, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I know a lot of people really like it. I've seen a lot of players get, like, team kills with it and stuff, but personally, I find him a very boring character to play.
I think how they should do that is if you're walking around, you should turn it into tank, and if you're not, it should be like Torbjorn, and it's like you just get a bigger turret or something like that. I don't know.
Sure, I'm open to all kinds of stuff, but I'm happy to see that they're taking another look at the character, because I agree with them that he's gotten very stale and not played nearly as much as we used to see when he was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Next up, we have some good or bad news, depending on how you look at it. Nintendo has confirmed that Wii U production has officially ended worldwide. This is obviously in preparation for the Nintendo Switch. It's not that surprising, especially considering the sordid tale I've been telling over the last several weeks of trying to get my hands on a 3DS, which I also think may be in reduced production right now. And so, I'm glad to hear that they're ramping up on Switch production. Hopefully we won't have any shortage of those in March, even though I know we will. However, I think this is kind of interesting. Like, I know that a lot of developers will ramp down production on something like this when they announce their new console, but I feel like Nintendo doesn't usually fall into that category. Like, the Wii was being made well after the Wii U was announced, I'm sure, and I feel like the GameCube was the same way.
Yeah, maybe they're just admitting this was kind of a bad idea.
That's kind of how I take it, too, is they're like, we know that there's not really legs on this console. The second the NX comes out, the Switch, no one is going to be picking up Wii U's.
Yeah,
you have a point.
It's just a dumb idea. I never got it. The Switch is a much more reasonable way for them to, if they want to implement this tablet technology. I hated the feel of the Wii U controller. It didn't feel responsive enough. Most games couldn't be switched to the portable mode. The battery life wasn't great on those things. The analog stick placement was fucking for crazy people. I don't know. It just had so many features that, didn't feel like they got used by games unless they were a first-party Nintendo title, And even then, they felt tacked on.
Yeah, someone's gonna have one of these 20 years from now, and it's gonna be super valuable. But
because all the other ones got thrown away the second the next console came out.
I mean, Nintendo really I said this before, the Samus thing, but needs to get it together here with the Switch.
I think the Switch is going to do just fine, honestly. If they've got people like me buying 3DSs mostly because they got excited about some of the new Nintendo games coming out, I think they're going to be okay. But I agree with you. They should. It'd be nice if they took a little bit more fan feedback.
Yeah, they have such a strong fan base, though, so...
Yeah. I mean, let's remember that, while the Wii U may seem like a flop because it didn't use all of its features, it's still no Kinect, It could have been as bad as the Kinect, so...
Sure.
I will never forgive Microsoft for that. They ruined one of my favorite games on Xbox, Steel Battalion.
Oh my god. Fist bump. No, don't fire. Fist bump. Oh my god, why'd you unload the shell?
Why? No, don't self-destruct.
Yeah, so bad. I'm really hoping with the advent of augmented reality and VR stuff that we get a good Steel Battalion game. It would be so good with the Move controllers and stuff since it actually detects properly. Hello?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Oh, what happened there? Something dropped off.
That was weird. Anyways, though. But yeah, I just think it'd be nice now that the motion tracking has gotten so good if they would be able to bring that into a Steel Battalion game. I hope that didn't just kill the series.
Yeah, because the second game would have been good. It was just 6 or 7 years before its time.
Yeah.
The concept was there, but the technology definitely wasn't there. And I don't believe they tried to shoehorn that Kinect crap in there. It bothered me.
No kidding. It's ridiculous. All right, well, we have one more news story today, and it's one that I'm very, very, very excited about. And that is the new Elder Scrolls Online expansion has been announced, titled Vardenfell, taking place in my favorite province of Cyrodiil, Morrowind. Fuck yeah! We're going back to Morrowind, you guys. There's going to be all kinds of sweet new stuff. They're adding in, it's a full $40 expansion. They're adding in about 30 hours of new story content, a new class that's kind of like a hunter from WoW. It's like a beast tamer who's got an animal companion. And most importantly, the landmass of Vardenfell. You're going to get to do quests to help restore Vivec to power. You've got it's got all the landmarks and stuff, unlike... certain other games that will remain unnamed because it takes place before everything else. So unlike in Dragonborn, there's actually stuff going on in Morrowind. They're not just the land is in upheaval, the Red Mountain exploded, all the Dark Elves have run away, and no one knows where the Nerevarine went, and Vivec is maybe dead. You actually have story threads related to Morrowind that you can actually tie to, which is pretty exciting. Getting to work with, the Three and stuff, or the Tribunal rather, is pretty great. I'm super excited. I absolutely adore Morrowind, and I cannot wait to run around in a giant mushroom tree forest again.
This seems cool. I might have to get this game.
It's a good game, you guys. Honestly, here's the thing. It's weird. Like all MMOs, I play it and starts and stops. But as far as polish goes, this is a very well polished thing with really good voice acting. The quests feel fun and varied, and you're not necessarily locked into doing anything in particular. It's got that kind of Guild Wars 2 inspired questing system, or it's not just, repeatedly fetch quests and you just go into a town, gather 10 quests, and then run around, do them all, turn them all in. It's a little more, fluid than that. And just overall, it's a good-ass looking MMO. You don't see a lot of really, really good-looking MMOs, and it is. That said, if you are not a big fan of the Elder Scrolls universe, I don't necessarily know that I'd recommend it. I feel like this is really, really, really good for console players who want a solid MMO and really liked Skyrim, and also for classic fans, because a lot of the land masses and stuff are stuff that's not barely even mentioned in Skyrim. But if you've played the other games, it's a pretty big deal when you can go hang out in the Somerset Isles or, run down to Hammerfell or something like that.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I kind of fell in love with it.
You guys watched the trailer, didn't you?
Fucking who are you talking to?
Both you guys.
I did.
I'm being sarcastic. Yes, I watched the trailer.
Dawn of War 3 because I'm super excited, and I just want to go in completely vanilla.
Why do you ask?
the trailer legitimately has like 93 things happening at once. It's literally the most confusing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember this is like the third or fourth expansion for an MMO that's like 5 years old, so you're going to be a little overwhelmed coming into it if you know nothing about it.
Yeah, crazy stuff, man.
But for Elder Scrolls lore nerds like me, holy shit, this is exciting. It's not coming out for quite a while. I think it's a June release, I want to say.
You owe me a soda. You say that at the same time.
Skype delay. But anyways, yeah, it's coming out in June, and I will absolutely be picking it up and letting you guys know how it is. If you are considering getting ESO, I would maybe consider holding off until then if you can, just because when they release new expansions, they tend to make it so that the $60 offering has everything rolled into it, and it's a lot cheaper to buy that way. That's how I got like the gold edition last time they did like a new $60 edition.
Nice.
But yeah, it's pretty fucking exciting, you guys. You know how much I love Morrowind.
Yeah, no, I'm actually super excited too.
And you know what? That actually is going to do it. We actually are coming up a tiny bit shorter than usual this week, but that's okay. We had a little longer one last week. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. As I'm sure you can tell, the show is procedurally generated. We hope you've enjoyed listening. Please be sure to check us out on Libsyn as well as iTunes, where you can leave a rating or review. All of our shows are also on coldomaha.com, or if you prefer a video version of the podcast, while you won't see our smiling mugs, you can listen to it on YouTube on my channel, lesser.noob, and that's N00B, or just search Henry Plays, because that's where all my videos come up. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.